Welcome, beloveds. What is the recipe to be unhappy? That is what we are going to discuss in today's session. First, I'll brief you about this topic, and then we will dive deeper into all the ingredients that makes one unhappy. So, a recipe to be unhappy. Now, when do we recognize any experience or experiences as unhappy? When we see that our expectations are not met or fulfilled in a way that we desired it to be, and that creates a lot of unhappiness or suffering for us, and we feel a sense of disappointment, which could further pave the way to the experience of other negative emotions such as unhealthy anger, unhealthy jealousy, unhealthy envy, and also creates a lot of stress. And over time, this experience of stress may get converted into distress, which is a lot more negative, and it impacts our body, our brain in all negative ways. Second thing is when we want to prove ourselves right and the other person wrong, and we get into this tug of war, and it becomes a part of our routine, our daily routine. It's a daily hassle wherein we are constantly proving mentally or outwardly that I am right, you are wrong. And the last and most important understanding is when we don't accept the reality for what it is, and this creates a lot of stress for us and therefore unhappiness. So when we are not accepting the reality, but we want to change it and control it in a way that was as per our expectations or as per our plans, and therefore we suffer. By this I don't mean that one has no power to modify one's environment or reality. By all means you can do that, but by reality meaning thing accepting what has happened and recognizing your own role, your own contribution in it, and then see how much you can modify, what all you can change without focusing on the outcome, but seeing the reality as it is, and not denying it, not dismissing it, and not escaping from it. So that's what I mean by accepting the reality for what it is. Now let's get into the recipe. So let's get into all the ingredients that makes us unhappy. So I have listed a few of the ingredients. Of course, you can add your own ingredients, and by the after this session, you have to start examining in your routine, in your daily life, that what all ingredients you are using, what all things have triggered that is making you unhappy. So please note down what all the list that I am giving to you, and then you add as per your own experiences, as per your own understanding as well. But main point is that after learning about these ingredients, you have to change your diet, okay, and start examining that. So number one ingredients is we tend to feel unhappy when we are too focused on what other people are doing, too focused on what other people are saying and thinking. So basically we are getting into the business of other people and not focusing on ourselves. So this is surely this will make us unhappy. Because you are just too occupied in other people's business, and and you are less involved in with your life, with the priorities in your life. The good example is of social media. We are just constantly peeping into what is going on in the lives of other people, and then we start comparing it with our life. So we are likely to think, not all of us, but at some point this thing goes on, or you might have experienced. So like okay, their life is so happy, so joyful, so pleasant, they are having so much fun. Only if only if my life could have been this way, or only if I would have been in a better position in many areas or in many aspects of my life, then my life would also have been, or I would have been more happier. So when you are getting into such patterns, this is what is happening. You are focusing on what other people are doing, saying and thinking. And the second part of it is when you are by you are focusing on what other people are thinking and saying about you. Now there are two ways to it. Firstly, you might be assuming it, so thing is just in your own mind, your own assumptions, and you might not have even checked with the person who you are assuming about, and these assumptions are more likely to be negative than positive. Whatever is the nature, it is important to check and not just assume things, right? And secondly, when we are too focused on what other people are doing and thinking, that is a way to escape from your own problems. So basically you are not getting involved, or you are not paying attention to your own problems, to your own priorities, or basically to any experiences, any sensations, any feelings that needs your attention, that needs the healing, that needs a lot of introspection and attention to to get it resolved. Now second ingredient to be unhappy is self comparison. Again, social media or otherwise also a lot of comparison we get involved in, and that creates a lot of suffering, but unnecessary suffering for us. See, let's this is a metaphor of a sunlight, right? Sun is the source, so sun gives light to or sun's rays fall on every object that it comes across. And the object, every object has its own tendency, has its own abilities and potentials. So for example, if the sunlight falls on flower, then it is a flower or the plant, it has its tendency to grow in a particular way, right? So a flower will grow in its way, a plant or any fruit or tree will grow in its way. For us, we need this sunlight, right, for our own energy, for our own growth as well. And of course there are a lot of other benefits of bathing oneself in sunlight. But we are growing and we are moving in direction as per our abilities and capabilities. Same thing, but sunlight is falling on every object, so it is same, but the object is growing as per its abilities and potentials and competences. Same thing is with us. There is no point in comparing yourself with anyone or anything except for yourself, yes, because that paves the way for self improvement. So you get the opportunity, or when you have recognized your own talent, your own skill, your own abilities, based on that you make certain choices, right? So I choose psychology as my profession, and now I am a psychologist and a psychotherapist based on the choices I have made. But this happened by first I recognizing my own abilities, my own potentials, my own capabilities and my own interest in understanding human mind and behavior and the whys beneath everything, and so this field, yes, was just too drawn towards it. So and then one choice led after another, and yeah, so on. So likewise you need to recognize your own abilities, your own capabilities, and you excel in that, and that's how you contribute. So no self comparison. Third ingredient is to be unhappy is dwelling on your own mistakes, failures and inadequacies. If you are too focused on your mistakes and failures, you are likely to repeat them, because firstly you have not learned a lesson from it, so there is no correction here. The error is still the same, only the situations and people and circumstances changes, but because you have not identified the error, how will you change the error, or how will you rectify it? So dwelling on your mistakes, failures and inadequacy is a recipe to be unhappy, and also it creates a tendency called self-fulfilling prophecy. So if my belief is like I don't deserve good things in my life, now because of this belief, and I'm constantly dwelling on this thought that I don't deserve good things in life, I'm surely to engage in such actions and choices which will serve as a platform to conform with my belief. So all of my choices, all of my actions, all of my engagements with myself or with people and with situations will be in this negative direction, and that will confirm the belief that I knew that I don't deserve to be happy, or I don't deserve good things in life. So, and also the other two errors, psychologically speaking, is self blaming. We get in we just too focused on blaming ourselves for what has happened, and we feel then guilty, and that's again a more difficult experience to come out from. And second error is generalization. We tend to then generalize that whatever mistakes I have made, whatever failures I have experienced, they are going to be as it is. Like there is no end to this failure. It's a never ending pattern of defeat that will go on and on and on. And it will create further more disappointment, helplessness, and hopefulness. So this is we need to cut out of this ingredient from our diet. Next thing is dwelling on other people's mistakes and inadequacies. Um, See, the thing is that just you need your own individualized work. Likewise, other also have to do their own individualized work. So we are engaging with people at two levels, just to simplify it. First is at an individual level, second is at a collective level. So individual level means wherein you are like accountable and responsible for yourself, for your own thoughts, feelings, actions, and whatever you choose to do. So this yourself needs sort of work, okay, and that is this, and this same self is getting involved with other people, with other selves who are also human in their own ways, who also are individualized self, and they are also relating with many other selves. So this is what makes us human. This is where grace, love, mercy, friendship, understanding, and forgiveness comes in. So when you are compassionate with yourself, you understand the position of another person, and also when you are compassionate about the position of another person, you are likely to be compassionate toward yourself, because we do play in double standards also, depending on one's thinking process and personality. And also when we are dwelling on other people's mistake and their inadequacies, we are just focusing on what all wrong is with them, and we are completely dismissing the good qualities, the positive aspects of their being. Okay, now no one is 100% bad or no one is 100% good. In fact, this good and bad are again abstract concepts. So there is no objectivity to it. It's very, very subjective, right? And then this further creates disturbances and problems in our relationships, because we are likely to be more angry on other person, and lot of blaming is also involved. So relate with others and understand that we all are crazy in our humanness. Okay, you are as crazy as any other person is. It's just that maybe you have identified your craziness and worked over it, maybe since many lifetimes or over the years, and the other person has not yet realized it. At the same time, I by no means I'm not dismissing the hurts, the disappointments that other people intentionally or unintentionally cause in our lives, because that is also very true. And as a human being, I have also experienced and gone through a lot of that. I would say that when you find that certain things or experiences are irreparable in your life, and you are not able to see the light or any other another perspective or way to it, kindly seek a professional help. Okay, and where you think that you can, then yeah, keep on practicing. But the point is that it's a recipe to be unhappy when we are dwelling on other people's mistakes and inadequacies. It's better to focus on their behavior. This is another important point. We tend to label the person as a whole, like a he is a jerk, or she is so and so, or people are so and so, or the world is so and so, all negative labelings. But we need to separate the person part with their behavior part. So maybe you can focus on the behavior, that like their behavior is negative, their behavior is so and so. That will also help you to shift little bit in a way that you can come out of your own self or mind created unhappiness. Next is dwelling on past thoughts. I'm saying past thoughts because because past is in your thoughts, in your mind, in your memory, uh, in your thoughts basically. As in terms of experience, it has already changed. Past can never be your reality because your reality is what you are experiencing right now. So dwelling on past thoughts creates tenfold suffering. So something you have already experienced which was let's say negative, now you are adding on to that suffering by creating it, recreating it, replaying it in your mind through your thoughts, images, visualizations, memories, and also by talking about it to people. Well, talking definitely helps, but as a psychologist, I'm saying when I hear my clients, they are talking, but they are not just talking. We are doing some proper work, and their goal is to come out of that suffering. But what I'm seeing in general is that people are just talking into like gossiping, and so that they could blame that other person more and more, and they could prove that they are right and the other person is wrong. That may be true, but again, it's not bringing you peace, it is not bringing any joy or happiness, or at least forget about happy or unhappy. It is not lessening or reducing any form of suffering. In fact, it is adding on to your suffering, because constant repetition of that negative experience is also constantly digging deeper the neural pathways in your brain. So that's one thing. So all you are left with is your thoughts and memories of the past, and fortunately we can change our thoughts, we can change our visualizations, our memories, the stories, the narratives that we have concluded about experience. So dwelling on past thoughts is not a good idea. And related to it is complaining, whining and blaming, and again not accepting people and situations for what it is. And psychologically speaking, blaming, complaining is very, very addictive. We can have a complete different session on this, but note whenever you are complaining and blaming, identify your role, take charge, take accountability of it, and make a new choice. Next is constant inner and outer battle in securing future. So all we need to do is recognize what we want to do, what we want to give to the world. It's not just about you, okay? So using your own intelligence, skills, potentials, identifying them, so you have recognized, and now see by getting what type of education, what type of training and skills, and after learning them, how you can contribute in the world. So in terms of future, all we can do is learning and planting the seed for our future, and keep on working about it. But make sure that you are not getting into this anxiety and restlessness worry, chronic worry, and then overthinking. right, then you are actually not working but just creating more suffering for yourself, and again lot of self comparison comes in and other negative problems or negative mental experience. I so much admire Napoleon Hill and his work, Think and Grow Rich. I'm sure you must also be familiar. So, uh, do read books or do study people like him or whosoever inspires you. Learn from their lives, from their experiences, and then plan your own life in a way that serves you by learning about them and their principles. So, Napoleon Hill's work and his life is a beautiful example. So, see how you can just plant the seed and proceed accordingly instead of feeling insecure about your future. Next is a recipe to be unhappy is when we do not take out time for self introspection, followed by rituals that can keep you more grounded, more composed, more calm. One cannot work with a restless, negative, or disturbed mind. Okay, one can work only with a positive mindset, with a creative outlook, with open mindedness, with flexibility, where there is security and oneness, and a lot of good intentions, service, and contribution is involved. So, when you take out time daily, at least 15 minutes on working days, and on weekends a little more than that, maybe 30 minutes to 60 minutes, depending how you are placed in your life, of course. So, but basically take out time for self introspection. So, for example, do journaling, do meditation, do note your negative thoughts, your triggers, like what uh, uh, what triggers you, what pushes your buttons and that makes you dwell on those negative thoughts and feelings. So just take a mental note of it, make a diary, physical diary, because writing is really important. So journaling, writing your negative thoughts, emotions or feelings and behaviors, and then challenging them, coming up with a new perspective. So this is the daily mood diary you can focus on. Journaling, exercising or jogging, meditation is very important, and different types of guided meditations are available. I would suggest one which is a soul sync meditation by Prithaji. It is 18 minutes meditation, very beautiful, and I have used it with my clients as well. So, I am sure it might help you. And so basically do anything, any kind of ritual that brings you more composed, more calm. And next is this is very important. It's this by engaging, or sorry, not engaging, by involving this ingredient, surely your recipe, your food is going to be disastrous, and that is believing in your negative thoughts. Without checking the errors, without introspecting, without surveying the facts and evidences, we just take it as a prophecy, and we just believe it without checking, basically. So, believing in your negative thoughts and dwelling on negative thoughts is a disaster. So, kindly stop that. And another thing is, another ingredient is, to be unhappy is when we are focused on what we cannot control. We need to identify this very correctly and appropriately. List down what all the things are there that you cannot control. So in big bold capital letters, things I cannot control, and list it down, and you will understand. And then see in terms of your behaviors and thoughts, how much you are engaging or trying to manipulate and control the things that you actually cannot control. And so, in conclusion, I would say that a recipe to be unhappy is to not coming in terms with one's reality. I have made this point in the introduction section as well, but not coming in terms with reality is surely a disaster, and it will add on to your suffering. Do what you can, do your best, give your best, and then leave the outcomes. Where scriptures are the great examples in term like Bhagavad Gita, which very appropriately explains how we should work, with what kind of intention and what we should focus on, but that is a class for another day. But not coming in terms of one's reality is something you need to be mindful about. Accept the reality, see what you can do, and then accept it basically, and change it in whichever way you can. So these are all the ingredients, that is the recipe to be unhappy. I'll see you in the next session. Do the work, examine these ingredients and change them. Okay, you have to change your, become aware of this and many other ingredients that you will come up with, and then change the diet. Thank you.